of the 12 women, you know, we've honored them all, and we will continue to honor them all. But is there any story off the top of your head that, you know, maybe we can share real quick about
Honestly,
one of them?
every single one of them is so unique. We had to work on 75 words per person. I could have more easily written a book.
Yeah, I bet. Hey guys, we're back with episode 67 of Sarasota SpeaX. As always, my name is Brad Hannon.
Trey Martell.
Felipe Colon.
And we have some incredible women on the podcast today. We are very excited to get into this. We've got Miss Katherine Harris and Miss Margaret Wise. How are you ladies doing today?
We're doing great.
You look great. You look phenomenal. The hair and makeup we had for you was phenomenal, right?
I noticed that staff was wonderful.
Yes. Well, we're so excited to have you on, and we really, like I said before the show, like to dive right into the meat of it and the exciting stuff. And I understand you have an amazing event coming up. It's a soiree for the Women in Philanthropy of Sarasota.
And the men who love them.
And the men who, I will be there. So, and the men who love them. I'm very excited to attend. In fact, I just got the tux designed right before y'all walked in. So we're stoked about that. But tell us about the event. I want to get more excited.
Well, the event is one thing, but we are an organization. This is the fundraising part of our organization. But we're having this fantastic event at Katherine Harris's home. Katherine, I'll let you tell them a little bit about the event.
Well, it's going to be quite different. We wanted to make it unique. And so what's going to occur is the house is kind of based on an 18th century residence in France. And so everything in it is pretty much like that. And so you walk up the cobblestones that are 18th century, and there'll be a coach size, a life-size coach right in the center with hors d'oeuvres, and then you're going to see a ballerina clad in a high-fashion couture outfit.
St. John is coming down.
Yeah. And we'll tell you about that in a moment. That's a whole big discussion. It's very exciting, amazing, really. And then there'll be hors d'oeuvres and champagne outside, and then you'll proceed into the house. And what has happened, we'll discuss Tatiana Stewart in a moment.
Yes.
But she's
coming on the podcast soon, too.
Okay, she has. So she'll be doing something, and what it is the ballet dancers will be outfitted in these couture fashions, and they'll be stationed throughout the residence, whether it's in the dining room or the library or the salon, in little vignettes. And so while it is fashion, it's not a fashion show that the men have to sit and watch. They get to peruse the house and you know.
I was really looking forward to watching a fashion show.
Well, you get to walk through and see it.
You get to walk through and see it.
Did you guys get your tickets yet, by the way?
We're working on it.
Is there any tickets left?
Well,
at this point?
we're adding tables.
Okay.
So
we've had an amazing.
Well, it came down to one thing. Is this going to be a shoes on or shoes off soiree?
Beginning with shoes on.
Beginning with shoes on.
And then later we'll have this fabulous dinner on the bay, and then we have a live band coming up. They're a spectacular band. And then there's also a cigar rolling area with fine spirits.
We're doing something for the guys.
Very cool. I love that.
It's going to be different.
So the event sounds amazing, and I don't think we're done there. But let's back up to the organization, right? Because that's the engine, if you will. That's the machine that's driving this.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the reason for the event.
Yeah, you got into it a little bit on the pre-show, but I would love for you to just talk about the impact that it's had in your lives, the impact that you're seeing it have in other people's lives, the Women in Philanthropy.
Well, this was Margaret's idea.
I've always been for women. You know, I found myself 22 years old, divorced, single mom. And I knew I had to make I didn't want to make just a living. I wanted to make a life. And so I went to the bank to borrow money. I had a house, I had money in the bank, and I had a good career. I couldn't do it unless my father signed with it. And so since then, I have been really trying to empower and educate women to be the best they can and to learn out what's out there for them. And these young women that are moving in town are very, 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 very interested in what's going on in town, the charities that are going in town, how they can get involved, and where they all want to make a difference.
Yeah.
And they are making a difference.
And
the ones
her
we're
idea,
honoring are really have made a difference.
Her idea was, she said to me, Katherine, I really want to do this. I've been wanting to do this for years. I really want to honor the women that helped make Sarasota what it was and what it is. And so I was like, Margaret, she needs to expound on that, but I just didn't really need one more event or something to do.
And I did. Neither one of us did.
Yeah, exactly. But this was a passion for her. But I said, I will do it as long as we can engage the younger women and really bring them on board. Because when I moved here, it was remarkable. We had friends our own age, played beach volleyball all weekend, but the women from their 70s to their 90s sort of took me under their wing, and I learned about things that I never would have learned otherwise. And I have no idea why that happened, but I felt that we need to do the same for this generation, and we don't want to miss. So we're creating a legacy of giving. We really want to show them how it's done if they want to be involved, and help them come to understand. Create a community that makes it really wonderful. And it's the time, it's the treasures and the talent. It's all of those things. It's not only philanthropic funds.
Of course. Yeah, it's not
Talk about
just
the women.
Well, I would like, if you guys are okay with it, I would like to quickly read the mission statement, right? You give the heart behind it, but the mission statement of Women in Philanthropy is to honor the indelible legacy of exceptional women philanthropists, past and present, whose virtues of integrity, compassion, humility, and kindness have perennially enriched our community's fabric for decades. From these exemplars, we aspire to motivate and engage new generations in virtuous and intentional community enrichment and philanthropy. In an inaugural celebration, we begin a new chapter to extol notable women whose philanthropic endeavors have profoundly shaped Sarasota, Florida. This distinguished group includes luminaries such as Virginia Toolman, Marjorie Baranczyk, Marie Selby, Mabel Ringling, and Bertha Palmer. So I feel like you guys embody that mission statement with everything you just said as well. Yes. So wanted to kind of share that. And then I didn't know if we wanted to get into it, but these honorees, they know they're honorees.
Oh, yes.
You have it, it's already out there. So
it's going to be in a calendar. They're calendar girls.
Okay.
But so we have 12 people. 3 of them have passed. Marie Baranczyk has passed, Virginia Toolman passed, but they left foundations that are still giving their charities that they did when they were alive. So just like Marie Selby, the garden, I mean, she left a foundation. It's still giving today. So that's kind of what we want to give across too. You leave your legacy, and we just hope that.
Talk about honoring the women that women don't like to be honored so much. And
well, it was hard because a lot of the things, the way we chose this, we didn't choose this. We let the foundations choose these women.
Our foundations.
Right. And so we have 12 months of the year, so each one of them have a month. And this calendar is not going to be set for sale in the grocery stores or anything. It's just really a program for that night and for them and for our members, to realize what they did. So each woman is going to have a paragraph of their charity that they're involved, or charities, most of them all are involved in 4 or 5 different charities. Elizabeth Moore's and Virginia Toolman is all of these people.
Mary Kay Henson, 700 charities.
Mary Kay Henson, 700 charities in this town she gives away. Well, a lot of these people we didn't know. We knew them, but we didn't know they gave those money that much.
Yeah, and they probably didn't want people.
And they didn't
know.
Want people to, but the community foundations are the ones that gave these names to us. And we have 7 really good communities here, foundations here. And so they came back with 55 names.
And then you narrowed it down from there?
And we, they just kind of narrowed it down.
We could just go through
each one. Each one of them have done amazing things. Marie Koval, she was the first black woman that did this service things. She and her husband are president of the university. Of the university and president of the museum here. She's a fabulous. She was on Times Magazine.
Wow.
So these women, I knew them, but I didn't realize that she'd been on Times Magazines. I didn't realize she invented the camouflage.
Wow.
And all this stuff. You just know these people, and you don't realize they did it and they did not want to be honored.
But you're right. There's a lot of folks here who are very charitable. And do quite a bit for not just our community, but other communities outside of the area and around the world.
Sarasota per capita is the #1 charitable giver.
Number one.
A lot of people don't realize that. We have a lot of foundations. I know a little bit about that. My mom worked in corporate philanthropy for 25 years, and I also manage money in that space. So it's this is a hotbed for charitable works. And it's also interesting because, like you said, there are many amazing women who have been charitable and have shaped this community. including many of the honorees you've listed.
There's so many, and we're just grateful for these 12 who are coming forward. We don't want to have. During the course of the evening, we're going to have a lovely way to honor them, but we're not doing paddle raises and all these kind of things. It's a celebration of who they are and what they've given and how they've transformed something that they were passionate about, like Gracie and children, or Ariane Dart does so many things. So we should go through each one. I don't want to leave anyone out, but nevertheless, I'll just say it's about them that night and celebrating them. So we don't want to have a lot of distractions. We just want it to be joyful.
Yeah.
But we don't mind making a little money that night.
No, not especially if it's for a good cause,
I'm sure
right?
our unpaid staff would like some money.
We have started this together, all four of us. We're kind of staff too. We're all volunteers,
Right.
And so it's a lot of fun. We're going to have an auction there. We're going to put it up on the internet, and we'll have a cruise, which will be fabulous. And then there's a dinner party available on my roof. I don't know how many, 16, 18, whatever people want, and we'll auction that off for dinner.
Now, do you have a goal in mind for the amount of money you want to raise with this soiree?
Yes, I do. She did. I have different goals.
Yeah, she said something. I said
I
100,000
said
more.
1, 2, 3. No.
But the point is, let me explain where the funds are going.
Okay.
It's not for us. So half Selby Gardens has accepted all the reservations and taken care of all the funding and bills. So that's been amazing.
Yeah, I
heavy
spoke with
lifting.
Lauren. She was great.
Isn't she fabulous?
Yeah, she was great.
Really.
And we've had Jennifer Romanecki on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes, good. Of course.
We just had Felipe. Walter Gilbert on the podcast as well. So
That was Trey's. That he got.
Joe.
Trey's high school football or middle school, whatever, Sun Devils football coach.
Correct. And Jennifer Romanecki was an alumni from Lafayette.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So half of the proceeds will benefit Selby Gardens, and the other half is going to Gulf Coast Community Foundation. Our two partners are Gulf Coast Community Foundation and Selby Gardens. So consequently, the other will go to Gulf Coast Community Foundation, but all of the women honorees, it'll be distributed equally, and they'll choose which charities.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very cool.
And I'm sure they have a long list of charities.
Particularly now, politically, it's been tough in terms of
been
funding,
tough.
and so
It's been tough.
we really want to do something to lift the community a little bit.
I love it.
We both like to do something for the whole community. I mean, we've all been on boards. I've been on the hospital board, the opera board, the Oslo board, and so you try to focus with that when you're working with them. But then you really want to do it all. It's all about the community. It's got to be all compass. I just like to do something that for as much as I can, for as many charities as we can.
Well, it's interesting because we're kind of talking about the giver's gain, right? And while the podcast is not a philanthropic venture by any means, it is something that we wanted to give back to the community, and we get to learn so many amazing things from our guests that we have on, like today, learning that Sarasota per capita is the largest charity. Yeah, that's insane. I didn't know that. I'm sure Felipe had an idea, and we get to meet all of these amazing people and hear their stories. So we thank you guys for coming on and talking about that. But tell us a little bit more about your backgrounds and how you got connected to begin with the Women in Philanthropy.
We moved here at the same time.
We moved here at the exact same time, and Katherine came over. She was, I don't know how they'd gotten her talked into doing the Christmas.
I was doing the holiday
tour
of homes. I'd never been to one, but they asked me to chair
And
it, so I
she
did.
did, and so she was involved with the law practice, and that I was involved with. And when I moved here, and so she says, "Can I use your home?" And I thought, "Okay, sure." So
we became fast friends, and we have been great
we've
friends
gone
ever
through
since.
divorces and deaths and sicknesses and good times and bad times, and we just got through having a 3-week vacation in Asia.
That was one of the good times.
That was
was
one of
a
the
great
good
time.
times. We had a great time with a whole group of us. What was it, 10 of us? We all went to Asia for 3 weeks.
Where'd you go?
We started off in Bali and we went to Vietnam and Cambodia.
So you went everywhere. That's great.
Yeah,
Thailand.
Singapore, everywhere. We flew out of Thailand.
So when the two of you met, it was basically because you moved here. But what moved you into philanthropy? Like, what was the obviously you had a heart for giving, and it kind of again you probably experienced that giver's gain. But what is it about philanthropy that you really would the advice you'd give to younger women that are looking to get involved in it, and why they should?
What advice would I give? I would tell them to get involved in something that's their passion, that they really like. Because if it's not your passion, you're not going to do a good job.
Yeah.
And there's so many things here to do. whether it be the arts, our human services, our
Education.
education. There are just so many things to do that that you can do that.
What are some specific causes that you've been passionate about throughout the years?
Well,
We don't have time.
Since I've been here.
Yeah.
Since I've been here. Well, one of the things I was involved when I was very involved with. My husband was vice president, general counsel of Shell Oil Company in Houston, Texas, and so we had a big war chest there, and they were very philanthropic and gave a lot of money away. And so I was very much involved with the opera because that's what they wanted me. The company wanted me to do. They were building a big center there. So when I came here, my neighbor was Dean Allen, and this town was not the town it is now. Let me tell you, it was a dead little town. There was Patrick's on Main Street. That was about it. She brought me down to this theater that was absolutely falling apart. Right across 5 Points was a fish market, and where the library was a tire place that burned tires on a regular basis.
Oh.
And Bijou was a service station. So she says, I have visions of this beautiful park and this library. And Paul Thorpe, who was Mr. Sarasota,
He was.
said, we think we can do this. And so they got us all involved, and we got a lot of people involved. And I think Paul Thorpe and Dean Allen's what made this town what it is
Wow.
today.
People have short memories, You're
They
right.
have short
Or
memories.
they weren't here. So many.
Or they weren't
people
here,
weren't.
like you said. Right. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
we named the building after her. They chiseled it off.
Yeah. I mean,
So
that's,
things happen.
again, stories that we get to hear on this podcast and we get to share with our guests that are so awesome, especially somebody that I've lived here, my whole life. I moved away for 3 years and I'm never moving away again. I'll always live here. So that's incredible.
I had a funny story.
Go for it.
It was, I was thinking about it when Margaret began because I was trying to think what was I most passionate about. When I moved to Sarasota, it wasn't going to be long. I was going back to New York.
You're just coming through.
Yeah, I said that too about
I said
17
that
years
too.
ago.
And so I recall Lawton Childs, the governor at the time, I had actually interned in his office and super disillusioned with D.C. We had a great time as interns, but I just thought it was a terrible place. And I was working for IBM, I think. And
It wasn't what it is now.
And so anyway, the Ringling Museum was at that time the state of Florida's museum, and the appointees to the museum were made by the governor. So there were all these extraordinary people around the state that I'd heard of, and then someone had to be from Sarasota, and Mary Savory was retiring, and the governor asked me to do it, and I've loved the Ringling since I was a little girl. We would be bussed over. Our first play we saw in 5th grade was The Homeward Angel, and the Ringling was just, something to dream about. So I was so thrilled. And once I got on the board, I realized the legislature was raiding our trust funds that John Ringling left. Mm-hmm. And at the very same time, Gwyneth Paltrow was making a film of Great Expectations. Remember Mrs. Havisham and the decaying mansion? So they got permission to make the mansion all look terrible.
It looked pretty bad anyway.
It did. So the board went up to Tallahassee to petition them to let us keep our trust funds, and I got DVDs of Great Expectations and gave them to all of the legislators, showing up what Katherine looked like. But anyway, so it was just such fun, and I was on the Arts Council at the time too. I was on the Ringling Board. I was on several boards, but Patricia Caswell went with me, and they thought we favored each other. So she wore one of my suits, and we double teamed it and covered twice as many people. They thought that she was me. But the funny thing is that our center at the time wasn't for funding Ringling, and so he said as far as he was concerned, we have one of the most beautiful collections of Rubens.
Yeah.
And he said, as far as he was concerned, Rubens was a sandwich. And Lawton always said those were fighting words, and that's what got me into politics.
Wow.
But that's not,
but you're right. The Ringling 20 years ago was falling apart.
It was
I used to
falling
go there. I couldn't believe it.
it
People
was
were just
terrible.
taking
Tragic.
It's
stuff.
terrible,
And John and Mabel Ringling collected all that stuff.
sororities were stealing
All over the
lions
world,
from it,
yeah.
for the
I know.
SAA house,
I
a different,
know.
I mean,
I know.
fraternities were.
So that's crazy.
It is, but we've just really kind of look at the hospital. I mean, when I first started, they got me involved with the hospital. I was president of the hospital for a couple of years, and they had no tower. We had no, I mean, it was. So what we've all done in this little town has been amazing since I've been here in the 40 years I've been here. It's been amazing. Oslo was going broke. Absolutely. The doors were shut.
Yeah.
Nobody was paid.
We were able to, at the legislature, the
were
Ringling
able to
Towers,
save it.
you know, that we were trying to save, and children had given their pennies. Well, then they discovered the rebar was destroyed, so decimated, so they had to take it down, which was tragic. But the legislature always recalls the funds that were, you know, that don't go through.
Yeah.
They had gotten a large sum, and so I was elected in the Senate then. And I said, no, well, we need to keep those, and we need to keep them here. And our first big, and they let us. And our first big grant was really important. Was for Oslo to keep it to keep stores open.
Go ahead.
Might have had a little something to do with it. With friendships, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see there's some
It
fruit
was
that's come
because
out
it
of
was
this.
only 3 people saving it. It was Stanley Kane and me and a couple other
legislature,
people.
yeah.
The legislature. That was it. I mean, or it wouldn't be a theater now.
So I'm curious, because Women in Philanthropy is from my perspective, kind of this legacy, this legacy group, right, of women, older generation giving back to younger generation. What would you ladies like to see long term in our community? Maybe not just for the group, but like, what are some things maybe we're working on now that you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now we're seeing in our community?
I'd just like to see the women get more involved, the young women get more involved, more philanthropic, and learn the joy of giving more. I think that would be a wonderful thing.
It's so gratifying, and having the ability to be around them, and maybe they buy their jets, or maybe, I mean, some of them are, you know, have done very well, and others just have extraordinary talents and gifts, or even their time. But it starts in your heart, you know, and you have to understand that it's so exciting when you can truly make a difference. You pick your passion. When new people come to town, I say there's a plethora of things you're going to love, but go around and please don't raise your head above the horizon yet, because once you do, then everybody will clamor on. But find what you love, your passion, and also the people you enjoy working around, and that seemed to be a good formula. And there are just so many remarkable people in this town. I'm so grateful to be here. During COVID, I just thought I lived in the most
We were fortunate.
wonderful place, and then I said, okay, never again would I ever leave. I'm just in love with it. We're so blessed here. We're so incredibly blessed.
Hey, we are having a blast here getting to know more about Women in Philanthropy. If you want to get to know Katherine and Margaret a little bit better, stay tuned for rapid fire questions fueled by food and beer.
Margaret Wise.
And I'm Katherine Harris, and we're with
Women in Philanthropy, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions, 10 specific answers, nothing off limits. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by food and beer. What's your favorite movie?
Reagan right now. I love Reagan.
I love your Mel Gibson Braveheart.
But they'll never take our freedom!
But I think probably I watch Pride and Prejudice every year. I don't understand.
I love you.
And The Mission.
Have you ever played a musical instrument, or do you think you're a guitar hero?
I played a guitar very badly, but I played it.
Same, and piano for a dozen years, but still badly.
What's your favorite place to visit?
Florence, Italy.
Cap Ferrat, France.
What food did you hate as a kid, but you love now?
Beets.
Opposite. Loved Brussels sprouts as a kid, allergic to them now.
Moms be like, eat your Brussels sprouts. Kids be like, no! What?
Honey mustard or queso?
Oh, honey mustard, no doubt about it.
Definitely.
Besides base jumping without a parachute, what's on your bucket list?
I want to go down the Amazon to see the jaguars. I've never done that.
I want to go to Burma.
What's your favorite show to binge watch?
Right now, it is The Perfect Couple.
I did not see that coming.
Neither did I.
Nope. Even the best of liars get very tired, or it's too overwhelming, and they snap.
Yeah, we read one of those books in book club. Favorite to binge watch, The Chosen.
What's a skill you don't have, but wish you did?
Singing, I wish I could sing. I love music, and I have a voice that, you know, bring the cows home.
Spending millions,
No, God!
never say goodbye.
No, God, please! Please, no!
I would have to say the same. I always wish I could sing.
No! What's your Mount Rushmore of musicians? You get 4.
Elvis Presley.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bruce Springsteen.
Well, let's see. Of course, I love the Beatles. That's my era.
Absolutely.
I love the Beatles. And the best one in the world is Andrew Bocelli.
Bocelli. Okay, those are our Rushmores, no question.
After, of course, eating food and beer, where's the first place you would take visitors in Sarasota besides the beach?
All of the arts.
The arts.
Yeah, just
The
fantastic.
garden, Selby Gardens, the museums.
So, Women in Philanthropy, I'm assuming you guys aren't the only 2 Women in Philanthropy members. You want to highlight some of your teams that really drive the engine with you?
Of course we do. Of course we do. Well, let's see. We have 2. Tatiana is a genius with it, and she is our designer. What is her official title?
She's our creative director.
Creative director.
So Dale
But she's
does
also
more
a
of
designer.
the social media and photographs and videos. Tatiana has a great. She has such a style with media, social media, because, like Margaret said, that's not our.
It's not for everyone.
But what's exciting is she owns T. Georgiano's downtown, right between Whole Foods and Starbucks, and she is the one. It is her brain trust that came up with the idea of stationing these ballet dancers. So now we have this beautiful partnership with the ballet all throughout the house in little vignettes, and maybe they'll do a twirler. There's some highlights that might come out that evening. And so she's done that and working with national brands. And so what's really exciting on
St. John.
Yeah,
St. John again, yes.
but on October 19th at the Modern, she's doing this extraordinary private evening. It's to come and check out the fashions, and she can style you and help you with what you want to do. It's going to be amazing. So October 19th, and she's doing it in partnership with us. So some of the proceeds go to Women in Philanthropy.
Very cool. Well,
That's
we
all
are
of her
excited.
brain idea.
We're excited to get Tatiana on the podcast here soon as well, which we're going to dive into that event and all of the things she's doing. But
And then we have Dale Hoffman, and Dale's
Yes.
amazing. She does all of the video and all of the substance. At first, it was so beautiful, all the pictures of these gorgeous young women and exciting, but the substance needed to come in. And so Dale has really designed on our website, Women in Philanthropy of Sarasota, the ability for people to go on. We highlight our members that are helping us,
Yeah.
and they talk about philanthropy on the website.
Why
and-
it's important to them and why it's important.
and she has a company that she helps executives and personal assistants, but she also does a lot of holistic training and coaching so that we can live healthier
it's a big
lives.
deal these days.
Just not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. So it's body, mind, and spirit.
I love it.
So
I
that
love
is
it.
called On Assignment. On Assignment is kind of neat. So they have dramatically contributed their time, talents, and treasures as volunteers. So we've been very fortunate.
Well, and I imagine Dale may be, both of them together, probably collectively working on getting all of these amazing publications, right? So right here we have
Scene Magazine.
Right here we have Scene Magazine, where you guys
They've
have
been
a
amazing
feature.
partners.
What other publications have you guys been featured in? I'll let you plug
Sarasota
that.
We're in
Magazine.
Sarasota Magazine, Longboat
Observer.
Longboat Observer.
Mm-hmm.
So in Gulf Coast
And we're
Magazine.
going on ABC this week.
You hadn't
So-
told me about that. Oh yes, I did. Of course I did. I did it. Excuse me. I got it.
So, with all of the media and the attention, and all that stuff, obviously you're bringing eyeballs to the organization. Is that why the event seems to be sold out right now? Speaking of the website, you go on Women in Philanthropy of Sarasota.com to buy tickets. Currently, we can't.
We sold out in August, but we've added 100 seats. So
Okay. Are they
We have
available
a
yet?
wonderful committee. We have a terrific committee.
Are the 100 additional seats available yet?
we're bringing them on board.
We're bringing them on board.
Technologically.
But
Perfect.
the invitations
But we're
go
sending
off
out-
next week, and after
No,
that,
this week.
this
They're going
week, there won't be anything next week.
Wow.
How do you find the folks who are attending this? I mean, I know you had, 98 women or people at your inaugural lunch. How did you find them? Did you go to the 7 community foundations? And
That's a really good question.
I'm shocked that they gave you
No,
their
those
their,
were
their
our
list.
friends.
No,
That
they
was
don't.
my
They don't
friend.
get
No, they
lists.
don't get
We
lists.
didn't
Nobody
promise
gives their
lists, but we
lists.
didn't get lists.
So walk us through how you did that.
Friends, their children. I'm thinking of one family in particular. I tried to reach her before I came, but the Carps were amazing, and I knew the parents. Like I said, and they were awesome. and then their daughter and son were here, and now their daughters are involved. So this is grandparents,
Generational,
children, and grandchildren, and now they're babies. So now they're new babies. So we have a whole generational opportunity to engage with them.
So
They are very philanthropic already, but a lot of women, they've made their fortune and they can do things, and they're very young. And one of them I've met, I just think she could run the world better than anyone else I've ever met. But in particular, it's just wonderful to talk with them, work with them. They're so creative. Just like these young women here, Dale and Tatiana, they have made the whole concept of women in philanthropy so much more vital and alive, and really engage the younger generation as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure social media helps, the magazines helps,
Absolutely.
but we've basically done it through our friends.
But
And they're
basically, how we got the list with my friends, her friends. That's how we got them.
Yeah, so your personal,
That's their personal
Rolodex, if
it's
the
a
kids
personal
know
Rolodex.
But
what
then
the
people
Rolodex
call and
means.
they're interested, and we talk to them because we want to engage women who
Talk
want
to
to be
honest
involved.
friends, you know.
Yeah.
Talk to
And
honest
Dale,
friends.
so.
So that's how we got the people.
Shout
Our
out to
friends.
Tatiana's friends.
We got all our friends.
So what we would like to do is for sure is in the description put the link to the 12 honorees, but I would also like to name them real quick on the podcast. So you can hand me that over because we don't want to
beautiful.
miss anyone.
Thank you.
of
We
don't wanna-
course.
thank you.
And,
Thank you. That's lovely.
I wasn't sure if it was public, but then we look
No,
at the
it is.
website and you
It
see
is.
it.
The next
So
page, right?
it's
No,
yep.
it's
So if I
he's
mess
got the
any of
right
these
page.
names up, please assist. Okay. So
I
we've
can't wait
got-
to hear you read this.
You know what? I'm gonna hand it to Felipe. I'm gonna hand it to Felipe because I can't wait to hear him
All
read
right.
it.
So we've got Marjorie Baranczyk,
Yes.
Ariane Dart,
Yes.
Judith, I don't know. her.
Economos.
Economos.
We just lost her, sadly.
just
Oh,
lost her.
that's sad to hear. Mary Kay Hansen, Marjorie E. Johnson Colbert,
Back page.
turn the
Backside.
page. Sherry Kolsky,
Yes.
Yeah,
Koski.
Kosky, Flora Major, Gracie McGillicuddy,
Gracie
Grassi.
McGillicuddy.
Rossi McGillicuddy,
Gracie.
Elizabeth Moore, Lee Peterson,
Yes.
Nikki Sadaka, Virginia Tolman.
Yeah, you did good.
You did
Very
a
well.
Great job, Felipe.
Very well.
Great job.
Very well.
And then what?
Do you want to show the invitation?
Brett, I'm going to leave this to you.
Yep. What we'll do is we'll link to the section on your website where all those women are listed as well.
The
And,
next page.
Here's the invitation.
Say the
Eric, if you want to do that, get it in focus. Beautiful.
Now, how are those women selected?
Well, 5 foundations gave us numerous names, and it's just remarkable. We've said maybe we'll be able to do it again if we're successful this time, because there's so many extraordinary women.
55 women.
You mean when you're successful this time?
Well, God willing, we will be, and
We've
we're
got the great
grateful.
team. We've got the attention on it. I think you've got some great people. We talked about how
We
great
do.
the Sarasota community is because of their people. So it would be hard for it not to be a success, but I would agree. I think it's when it's a success, not
Thank you.
if.
Thank you. I didn't want to be presumptuous, but so
I'll
Be
do
perhaps,
it for you.
Be presumptuous.
so perhaps we'll do it again next year with,
Perfect.
and we'll ask for a new list. Not only more of those 55, but there's so many.
Well, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there any story on the top off the top of your head of the 12 women? We've honored them all, and we will continue to honor them all. But is there any story off the top of your head that maybe we can share real quick about
Honestly,
one of them?
every single one of them is so unique.
Yeah.
I had to we had to work on 75 words per person. I could have more easily written a
Yeah, I
book
bet.
than 75 words. These women are so remarkable. So I couldn't single out one because they're all extraordinary.
Yeah.
But we're just so grateful.
Well
we have
done.
all those women in this town, and this inaugural committee is special. The inaugural honorees are very special to us.
Well, we're very excited to have you guys on. We want to kind of flip it to Trey for some Sarasota-based questions. We know you've had some experience here in town, so Trey.
Well, Trey and Terminator Law want to know, what are your thoughts on roundabouts? Do you love them or do you hate them, and why?
I love them because you've been doing them for years, and I just think it just makes traffic move so much faster. That said, I've almost had 2 accidents on this one.
Whose fault? Was it yours or the other person?
Oh, it's mine because it's very confusing about the lanes. They are very confusing a little bit.
I love how quickly you own that, though.
Yeah,
That's
I own
what's
that
important, right? You
So,
took
but I
personal
love the
responsibility.
roundabouts. Yeah, I love them.
This is the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there,
yeah.
right?
That
Because
is a
I live right there.
spectacular
I live right there in the Ritz.
Yep.
On the top floor, and so when I go around there,
Is that also known as the penthouse?
yeah.
Okay.
So when you go around there, It's confusing.
It is. It is. Have you ever seen Jesse Biter's camera that he has
Yes,
on that?
I have. I know. We know Jesse.
You would not have been the first one. We just had him on a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, he loves that, and I'm sure he said you're going to get killed with that.
We do a lot of work out on Longboat Key, so when I'm coming off, I often see people driving the wrong way on that specific route.
That one is very confusing. You have to admit, it's very confusing.
It beats the alternative, though. Remember when there was a drawbridge over there?
Yeah.
I love the drawbridge. Ringling built that. Ringling built that with his elephants.
Sense.
Yes. And
Oh,
the
no
next one,
kidding.
the next one as well, that crosses over into St. Armand's as well. He developed
Are we
St.
building that
Armand's.
one next?
It was time, Katherine.
And that
was time.
that may
Are
be.
you want the drawbridge back, or do you prefer
I just thought
the-
it was scenic and beautiful. There's still one down in Venice. So
Because you
that's
guys
special.
She doesn't want to
Spoke about-
drive over it. Just look at it.
I don't want to wait in the traffic.
Short memories, because I remember people complain about that roundabout now, but I remember when it was a drawbridge and that it was backed up all the way to 41
Well, we can
almost.
thank Gil Waters for that
Gil
gorgeous
Waters
bridge.
did that one.
He really
Gil Waters,
did.
that was Gil Waters' bridge. And he fought it. I mean, we fought that like it was the bridge too high.
Yeah.
And they
Beautiful.
fought it, too high. The bridge
There
too
it
high. They
is.
fought
You guys,
it.
look at how beautiful Sarasota
It is. It is.
Not
gorgeous.
everyone
You can
sees
get
that
entranced
view.
in this video for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Felipe says it best. The roundabout question is a silly question, but there is a purpose. So I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a proxy for growth and change.
No, I love the roundabouts as well, but
that's
I
one
think
thing
for
to change.
seniors it's confusing, and we hear about that a lot at cocktail parties. But I love the roundabouts. In Europe, they are beautiful, and it's so easy to drive them. And I think once people get here, they get accustomed to it, and you learn.
Yeah, and well,
It's
in this
great
this
going to the
podcast,
airport
our
early in the morning.
Our goal is that through this podcast, we can educate folks on how to use them more properly. So
Just get in the right lane.
Yeah, exactly.
Be sure you
Just
stay
get in the
in
right,
the-
get in the
when
right
you
lane,
come
go in
into
the right
the other
direction.
driver, that
And
outside
pay
lane.
attention to the other drivers. You may be in the right lane, but they may not be. So,
As a kind of a bonus Sarasota-based question, what are some of your favorite areas of town, spots of town, restaurants, beaches?
Beaches,
So many.
I love Bezo. I love State Street. I like to go to the Circle. I love Cafe La Rope's got a great restaurant.
yeah, they have a
we have
brand
so
new
many
owner.
downtown.
Used to
I
service
love,
the
I
air
love that
conditioning
redesign
in there.
that John Horn.
Yes,
Oh,
and
I
John
do
Horn.
too. I think it's
Fantastic.
fabulous.
I've known him since he was a little boy.
Good
so.
guy.
They did a fabulous event for us. They did a fabulous
really
event
did.
for us.
John Horn.
And they were really good. We told them we were going to have 50 people, and we had 100.
We told them we were going to have 30. Yeah.
They were really nice about it. We didn't intend to. It just grew. Things grow.
That happens.
But
Got a lot of friends.
yeah.
You know?
and,
Well, it's a
problem.
lot of this is Margaret's idea hit a chord. It really did. We had no idea that it would be so well received, and we're so grateful.
I mean, that's why I say when it's a success and not if, because we've already got great momentum, and if there's anything we can do to help, we would love to.
You already are.
That's
already are.
continue to help. I mean, but yes, thank you.
Being awareness was we knew. I mean, it's new. And I started designing women 25 years ago, and so this is just kind of a.
Here's
evolve.
a direct question for you. How do I get my wife more involved? Right, like
Ask
she's
her what she
philanthropic
wants
as
to
is.
do.
No, I mean
What-
with organization, with the things that you all are doing.
What does she want to do? First of all,
That-
I'd ask
that-
her what she wants to do
that's
and
a
how
great
much time
question.
does she have. But the main thing is, what does she want to do? What is her passion?
Probably education. Probably
Education,
children.
probably. Mary Kay Henson. I'd get her.
She's our speaker in
She's
this
going to
thing.
speak at the next at our next meeting, and she's going to talk about. She has this fabulous program about reading in public schools, and she goes into the schools, underprivileged schools, and she has a whole volunteers group of women. I'm one of them, and I can't, with my accent, they really think that's funny. And I read to them, and they always say, "What are you saying?" Sometimes. But it's a wonderful program. Wonderful program.
I love how the focus of your organization, listen, you throw some nice parties. A lot of people can do that. But what you're doing is you're connecting the next generation
That's right.
of
We're
women
connecting
who are
that's
maybe
right.
they're not philanthropic today, but they're
But
going to
they're
be.
going to be.
And we need to
You're
keep that
exactly
tradition
right.
alive in Sarasota to stay on top.
When we first did the Ungala at the Ringling, it was so fun. And when we were in our 20s, we just felt like we couldn't believe it cost $35 to go to this grand event.
On
And-
Gala.
On Gala Gala, yeah. And so a lot progressed from there. But the interesting part is, when we were young, they were actually developing the next generation of donors because we're all passionate about the Ringling Museum. So it's important to get engaged. And I think this community of young women, and by the way, there are a lot of people our age involved too. We're all of our friends.
You're younger than me.
All of our friends had to be involved. But the younger generation, they have so many different interests, and they have children, and there's so many things that create their time. But this gives them a chance to have a community where they feel comfortable, whether it's giving their time, their talents, or their treasures, and everybody is interested in doing it. So they'll have the opportunity to learn about a lot of other charities charitable adventures that they might enjoy.
Well, we're very excited.
I like the way you describe that, though. Time, talent, treasure. All those things are incredibly important. And for people who, they hear this topic, they say, oh, philanthropy, that's for people that have money. Not always.
No, there's so many.
You can give time and talent.
Yes.
And that's almost more important than the money.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're right.
Well, they're all coming in to help us get ready for the event. I mean, they're if they haven't done it before, they're certainly learning now.
I sense there's an undertone of, if they haven't learned before, they're learning now because we threw them right into it, right? I mean, that's what volunteer organizations are all about.
That's what a volunteer is all about.
We love that. Felipe, if you wanted
so we always ask one last
land
question. You've been on Sarasota SpeaX podcast. You see what we do here. Who does Sarasota need to know, who you know and we may not know? Who should be invited on Sarasota SpeaX next?
I think Kim Giffler and Charlie Giffler should be on here because they're so involved with not only in financially money show, but also with the building here. They've got several big projects.
So they're the original developers of the Hyatt, if I recall.
Hyatt and
Well,
CL
I know Charlie and Kim.
and
Yeah,
Bociel.
and Bociel, right.
Now this is the son.
Right, and
the mother and the son.
Right.
She has money show too, but they're
money show.
fascinating.
Okay.
And I'd also say, Margaret mentioned earlier, the Volkers, Chris and Kirk, they are so engaged and involved in downtown, and she's
State Street and Baso.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also they're involved with Ronnie is involved with it too.
Yeah. Ronnie Sugar.
Yeah, they're all involved.
So they're very
And
engaged
she's
in
caring.
downtown and growing it and making sure that we have a
economic
vibrant
growth, economic
downtown. So I
development
think she
growth.
has a lot to say, and she's very enthusiastic.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for coming on. Thank you for sharing about your organization, your
This was
event.
wonderful. Thank you. It was fun.
Thank
Like
you.
I said,
Thank
if there's
you,
anything we
guys.
can do in the future to help out beyond what we've done today, we would love to.
There will be.
All right.
You count on it.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweetie. Thanks for meeting you.
Thank you.